Hi everyone, welcome back and welcome to my channel. Today I will be coloring in this Disney Silhouettes Magique by Hachette Heroes. This is one of my go-to books for fun themes and quick coloring. It features Disney character silhouettes centered around a collage of objects and shapes related to the character's movie. So this is the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. Here we have Merida from Brave. And within the objects are these paint splatters, which is nice to have for some solid mass in the background. A quick flip through until I get to the page that I'll be working with. As you can see, there's a lot of variety of some older and newer movies. The Pooh is so cute. Dumbo is the page I'll be working in. I love to look through vintage movie posters, so my color palette will reflect those reds and golden colors from these posters. Dumbo is usually portrayed in bluish gray tones, but he is obviously the silhouette of the picture, so he won't have any color directly in him. So I'll have to find ways that I can incorporate those blue and gray shades within the objects around. I'll be using some Crayola Supertip markers for the stars because I want them very bright and bold. For most everything else, I'll be using the Prisma color pencils to get more blend and that vintage feel. I'll list all the colors in the description down below, but here's a look of some of the colors I'll be using. All right, let's begin. I do have some scrap paper behind this page just to catch any bleed through that might happen with the markers. And I'm going to start with the stars. So I have 3 shades of yellow that I'll be using. This one is more of like a golden rod, and then I have a yellow and then more of an orange yellow that I'll be using. And like most of my videos, I'll show you how I do a few objects. And then I'll speed through the coloring, or I'll even color off camera and then come back and finish up more. So I will look over the whole page and color all the stars. I may miss some here and there because of the way the shapes overlap each other. It's not always easy to pick them out or other shapes out. It's not until you start to color and then some of them kind of pop out at you. So. But for the most part, I'm going to do all the stars first. My balloons are going to be in Prismacolor, and I'm going to use pink for the heart balloon and orange, shades of orange for the other balloon. So I'm going to start off with a really light kind of pale pink, and I'm just going to add some color really lightly just to kind of give a base layer. And then I'll use this more fuchsia color pink, and starting on the left outside edge, I'm just gonna bring some color in, add some more of this pigment in there, kind of pressing hard or medium along the edges, and then starting to lighten up the pressure as it gets to that little reflection point on the other side. And then going back over with that light pink color just to blend those, kind of melt those pigments together. I do notice on this paper it is harder to get a good blend. It tends to have a little bit more streakiness to it, which I don't find on other books. So just to be aware. And once I blend, then if I need to add a little bit more of that fuchsia color just to darken it up, get some more pigment in there, and then again with the lightest color, going back to blend. And I felt like it needed just a little bit deeper color here, so I'm gonna use more of a red shade just at the very bottom and edge. And again, blending with that medium pink tone. Okay, for the next balloon, I'll be using 3 colors, so in the orange family. So I have an orange, a light orange, and then I'll be using this light yellow for blending and just putting a base coat on. So that is where I'll start. I'll just add a little light layer here for my first color, and then I'll take this orange. I'm going to do the darkest color first, and just kind of blend, start again heavier on the edges, working my way up, lighter pressure as it gets to that little reflection point. And then taking that medium orange shade just to brighten up a little bit and blend that together. And then back to the lightest color to blend those 3 shades together. Again, pressing a little bit harder. Again, this pigment on this paper, you have to work it a little bit harder than others. And again, just needing to give a little bit more depth of color at that very bottom edge. So I'm using a red to kind of tie in the pink and the orange balloon. All right, so I'm going to go through all the balloons and repeat that process. I'm also going to find the hearts, and those are all going to be colored in pink. Here is an overall view of the completed stars and balloons. Next, I'll be working on the tents. These I want a more vintage feel, using reds and yellows for the stripes. The top part of the stripes will be more red with some peach highlights, and the bottom will be more burgundy. For the yellow stripes, I'll be using a pale yellow and darkening with a more golden yellow. I'll start with the red stripes, and first I'm going to add a little line right where the edge of the tent kind of folds over the bottom half. This will give a more definition to that edge line. And keeping a heavier pressure and darker shades on the top and bottom ends of the stripe will give a highlight in the middle. I'll use a peach color to blend those 2 shades together. A look at all the tints complete, and you can start to see Dumbo taking shape a little bit more now. For the hoop stand, I'll be using my pale yellow and more yellow-orange shades for one stripe and the top. And then the other stripes are going to be red, using pink as my highlight. So I'll be doing a heavier concentration of color on the top and bottom ends, making the middle section my highlight. The umbrella will be red and white stripes with the same concept of shading as the other ones, heavier concentration on the upper and lower ends and brighter in the center. And for the white stripes, I'll be using a light blue for the shading inside there. Although this looks black on camera, it is actually a really dark burgundy. The drums are going to have the same reds and yellows, but I will now introduce some of the bluish gray colors into the rims of the drum. Next, I will work on the unicycle and pendant flags. I'm starting off with a lavender on the seat, and then I will add a dark purple for the shadow and blend with the lavender. And for these little tiny clouds, I'm going to use just this really pale light blue and fill the whole thing in. The flowers sprinkled around will also help incorporate my blue shades. I'll use the light blue first and then add some lavender, but keeping it very light. To blend, I'll use the white color pencil and the centers will be yellow. Flowers complete. Now let me zoom up close so hopefully you can see how I'm coloring the clouds. I'm using the same light blue that I have, and I'm just going to use the contour of the clouds, the bumps, to make circles. I think it gives it a nice, like playful, bumpy texture. Using that same light blue, I'm going to give these paint splatters a light first layer. I'll then come in with a darker blue grade shade and concentrate that around all the edges, leaving the center the lightest shade, blending back and forth between the two shades. Because of the paper, like I said before, it doesn't seem to want to blend as well as other papers. So it does take some work to kind of go back and forth, but always start out with light pressure and then work your way to heavier pressure. Even if there are some negative spaces around the silhouette, I usually try to take the lightest color of the splatters. In this case, it's the light blue, and fill in around the silhouette. I think when everything is colored around it, it just makes it stand out a little bit better. Okay, that's a wrap of Dumbo in Disney silhouettes. I think the brightness of the stars and balloons play really well with the more vintage look of the tints. And incorporating some of those bluish gray colors inside really helped bring Dumbo into the color scheme. I did take that light blue color and run it along the edge and the outline of Dumbo. I felt like it just needed a little extra help to stand out, which I think did the trick. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Happy coloring.